Okay, this is my fourth video and just gonna continue with my lesson. Today we're gonna do something fun, which is to build a cat photo app. So we're gonna start with number one. So step one, in this workshop, you will continue working with basic HTML elements like headings, paragraphs, and lists by building a cat photo app. Begin the workshop by adding h1 element with the text cat photo app. So this is HTML. And within HTML there's body, and within body we can start putting the heading element, which we've learned that there's opening and a closing tag, and in between what it wants us to do is to put the text of cat photo app in between, which I did right here, and the output shows, and I think it's what they're asking, so your code passes. I'm gonna move forward. Step 2, below the h1 element, add an h2 element with this text, cat photos. So you notice that what I did here is that there is a little bit of space. This is called indent, and usually when you signify that something's within something, for instance, like HTML tag is basically wrapping the body tag or body element, so it shows that HTML is on a higher level in this nest. So basically it shows that you don't have to do this layered format, but then it helps you to read the code better. So I recommend doing this from the start, so I'm going to do that as well. So for h1, so below h1 element, I'm gonna add h2 element, and then I'm going to put in this text right here, and it's gonna show the h2 element right here. Check your code and you move forward. Step 3, create p element below your h2 element and give it the following text. So below h2 you're gonna add p element, and then I just like to copy and paste the text because that way you don't make any mistakes. And it shows right here the p element text, and that's it. You move forward. And step 4, this is the advertisement. I'm just gonna wait until it finishes since we have to watch it. Okay, it's all done. Step 4, commenting allows you to leave messages without affecting the browser display. It also allows you to make code inactive. A comment in HTML starts with this, contains any number of lines of text, and ends with this. Here's an example of a comment with the to-do remove h1. So we're gonna learn a new concept called commenting. Basically, commenting, as it implies, you're putting a comment on your code, and basically if you put a comment, the machine doesn't recognize that. It's only for the readers or other developers. So I'll just show you an example. This is an example code, but we're gonna add a comment above p element with this text. So in order to add a comment, you have this opening comment tag and a closing comment tag, a comment tag, and then you were just putting the text in between the tags basically. And then basically the machine doesn't read this, but your other developer knows what you're doing here. It says to add link to cat photos. Basically it's giving an assignment, but for now I'm just gonna check my code and move forward. In step 5, HTML5 has some elements that identify different content areas. These elements make your HTML easier to read and help with search engine optimization and accessibility. The main element is used to represent the main content of the body of an HTML document. Content inside main element should be unique to the document and should not be repeated in other parts of the document. So we're gonna learn a new concept called main. So it's not actually required to put main, but it says here that these elements make HTML easier to read and help with search engine optimization and accessibility, which means it helps other people find your web page. That's search engine optimization, which means that it helps, basically the way you frame your code helps the search engine to find your website better. So that's it. And then accessibility means like it helps other people who may have disability to read your website better. It's just that. And basically making your code accessible, more accessible. And so this is the example code, but the instruction here is to identify the main section of this page by adding main opening tag before h1 element and add a closing. My bad. And the closing here, and then I just like to press a tab so that it indicates that all these code inside are nested under the main element. And I check the code, and then I move forward. Okay, so step 6, in the previous step you put h1, h2 comment and p element inside main element. This is called nesting, and nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further to the right of the element they are nested in. The spacing is called indentation. It is used to make HTML easier to read, and that's what I mentioned previously. And that's what we're doing. And then it says in order to make an indentation, you have to put 2 spaces. I just like to use the tab, but I guess it does the same thing. So the mission here is that the h1 element, h2 element, and the comment are indented 2 spaces more than main element in the code below. Use the space bar on your keyboard to add 2 more spaces in front of the p element so that it is indented properly. So this is not indented properly, so I'm just gonna add 2 more spaces, and now it's inside. We know that all these code are inside, or basically nested inside the main element. Continue. Step 7, you can add images to your website by using image element. Image elements have an opening tag without a closing tag. An element without a closing tag is known as a void element, and I think we learned this earlier. So whenever whenever the element doesn't require a closing tag, is known as a void element. And it says to add an image element below p element. So let's see, image element, and then I'm gonna add image element. At this point, no image. I'm just gonna do this, and no image is being displayed. Okay, move forward, and then let's see. So HTML attributes are special words used inside the opening tag of an element to control the element's behavior. The SRC, which is source attribute in an image element, specifies the image's URL where the image is located. Here's an example of image element with source attribute pointing to the FreeCodeCamp logo. So if you have some sort of picture file saved under some sort of the cloud storage, you can basically use that and bring it into your website by using an image element. But in order to do that, you have to specify the source, which is the URL or the location of the picture. So inside existing image element, add on source attribute with this URL. So this URL points to a picture file that is saved under some sort of FreeCodeCamp server. So it is basically bringing that picture into your web page. Basically, it's borrowing or linking, you could say. So in other words, if the source gets destroyed or deleted, this picture won't show. So you have to be very careful in choosing the web picture source, because if that source disappears, then the picture on your website will disappear as well. So I'm going to check the code and move forward. And step 9, all image elements should have an alternative attribute, and ALT attributes text is used for screen readers to improve accessibility and is displayed if the image fails to load. And here's an example of an image element with an ALT attribute. So basically, ALT attribute is there to show the user whenever the picture fails, right? Picture fails to display, it will display a text so that the user know what this picture was about or will be about if it comes up again. So basically, it's to display the image, the description of the image if the image fails to load. So we're gonna do that. Inside image element, add ALT attribute with this text, a cute orange cat lying on its back, which is a fair description of this picture. We're gonna add this to the image element, and I'm gonna check the code and you're good to go. And step 10, you can link to another page with an anchor element. Here's an example linking to https://www.freecodecamp.org. So you have seen this a lot, because nowadays on the website it's not just one single page, but it actually links multiple pages together, and it's called hyperlink. If you click the hyperlink, or it may be displayed in a form of a button. If you click it, it will basically link to another website, or redirect to another website, or it could be designed in a way that it shows a new website in a new tab. So basically, anchor element allows you to create that hyperlink. So add an anchor element after the paragraph that links to HTTP this address. At this point, the link won't show up in the preview. So we have to add another anchor element after the paragraph that links to after the paragraph. So right here, just gonna put the anchor element here, and even if you put the href, which means that the URL where the user will be redirected to, it won't show anything. You won't have to worry about that. It will cover why it doesn't show. Oh, it's actually this address right here. So I'm gonna use this address. I'm gonna move forward. Step 11. So a link's text must be placed between the opening and a closing tag of an anchor A element. Otherwise, it won't show on the website. So in order for the link to show, you have to put the text in between the anchor elements. And the instruction here basically looks like this. There's a text in between. And the instruction here is to add another text to the anchor element, and now this will appear. If you click on it, it will lead to another website. Normally this link would bring to another website, but it won't for some reason, as this is a test environment, but it works. And you check your code and you move forward. And step 12, add words to see more before anchor element in our gallery after the anchor element. So we have to add word see more before the anchor element and in our gallery after, let's see, before the anchor element. Just words. Let's see. And after. Well, it's not telling me to put in any element, but it's just telling me to copy and paste the text, which is after the anchor element, which is a bit weird, but I will just follow. And you passed. And I'm going to stop the video now because I don't want the video to be too long. I will come back and continue on with this cat photo app building mission that we're on. So for now I'll stop the video because I just want to cut the video. I don't want the video to be too long. So thank you. Please subscribe if you want to learn how to code for free.